What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Empty the Benches. Nick and Mac with you for a big one. We teased this a little bit last week, and then it finally happened. Quinn Hughes has been traded. I don't think any of us were expecting that when we were just chilling on our couches Friday night. But yeah, Mac, how's it been going, dude?
Really good. Yeah, I actually thought this was a prank because I was sitting on my couch pre-gaming, about to go out for the night with my buddy, Anders, huge Canucks fan.
That's right.
And we actually just beat a portion of the game, NHL Hits 2003, that we've been working on for quite some time. One of the tournament modes you could do in there.
Nice.
Finally beat it, and he turns to me and he's like, "Holy shit, Quinn Hughes just got traded." I thought he was messing with me or something.
Right.
Mostly because every time there's been a high profile player over the last couple seasons that there's trade rumors about, it takes forever. It's not going to happen. Then it is, then it's not. And then so I was just kind of anticipating this to be another one of those dragged out things. And suddenly it just happened. And it also happened to a team that I hadn't heard mentioned once in the conversations about who he might be playing for next. All we were hearing was Detroit, New Jersey, people threw the Caps out there. There was, a handful of teams in the mix. But I did not know Minnesota was even in the fight. So that's another reason I thought he was kidding. However, I love this for Minnesota big if, they can actually do something with it. Obviously, Quinn, free agent at the end of the year, so that's a little scary. I got to think Bill Guerin would not have pulled trigger unless he has at least some inkling that there's at least a chance that he would re-sign. I don't think you're going to give up Zeev Buium, Marco Rossi, and a first, and Liam Ogren just to get a rental and have him walk away at the end of the year. That would be tough. So
that would be a pretty brutal exit there.
They are going to need to, I think, make it pretty deep. Excuse me.
Bless you.
I'm talking. They got to make it at least conference final to make this even somewhat worth it. And then you hope if it's conference final, he's like, okay, I see the vision, and then he wants to resign,
Yeah, and it's going to be tough because I'm looking at those other two teams in that division. We talked about them both last week, Colorado and Dallas. I mean, that is a gauntlet right now. And I was looking just over the lineups now in that central division with those offensive defensemen. You've got Heiskanen, you've got Makar, you've got now Hughes. You could throw Morrissey in there too. So, I mean, it is just so loaded in the central right now.
Yeah, and that's another reason I love it, because it's still, we're not even halfway through the year and or through the season, and for Guerin to be that aggressive and be like, look, I see what the competition looks like in this division right now, and we gotta buck up if we want to compete. And so I love it from that perspective.
Yeah, I love the early trade. I think that's so much of a better move than waiting until the deadline and basically giving a guy 5 weeks to move and then figure it out with a completely new team, new system, and new coach. Yeah, exactly. So I think this is a great move for both sides. Both Buium and Hughes score in their debut with their new team, so you would think both teams are at least happy so far. I know the Canucks, fans, I think we're a little bit upset just over this continuous fact of, hey, they can't seem to keep A-list talent there, but I think you got a pretty decent return there. And I mean, Ogren was a first rounder back in 22, right? So I think that's a pretty good haul for them.
All three guys are first round picks. So essentially they got 4 first rounders here. I mean, those should be guys, especially Buium, but those are 3 guys that you should be able to build the future of your team around. So that's a pretty quick jump start to whatever kind of rebuild this is going to look like for Vancouver.
Yeah, absolutely. On the note of offensive defensemen, let's do Mount Rushmore of offensive D-men. So you can go ahead and pick first. Once someone's taken, they're absolutely off the board. But who's jumping out to you as just your A-list number 1 pick here?
This is a really hard one. I've thought about it for a little while. We were going to do it last week. I told you I need a little more time to think about it. I'll go with what I feel like is an obvious one first, and maybe he's not stats wise the best ever in terms of goals or points, but I'm taking Bobby Orr.
You really can't go wrong with that. I mean, that's probably the one that everyone, especially the guys over 50, are going to be hoping for. So Bobby Orr, I mean, you can't really go wrong with him.
He's my
2
dad's
Stanley
favorite
Cups, right?
player growing up too, so I'm a little
There you go.
biased because I was fed the Orr doctrine over and over and
Right.
over again growing up. So great player.
Usually, like, having a statue is a pretty good sign. So
Yeah.
I feel like, with him, you really can't go wrong. I'm going to follow that up with another Bruins legend, Ray Bourque.
Yeah, so that's probably the obvious one. I think he
Yeah.
leads all defensemen all time in goals and points, I believe.
410 goals, like well over 1,500 points.
Yeah.
Obviously got the cup in his last game ever. So
it's
the best cup lift of all time.
Yeah, it could be. It really could be. And that's coming from a guy who loves Alex Ovechkin. So
right.
All right, next one. See, we almost need to do like a separate one for like the era we grew up in, because none of those guys are going to quite make it. Like, they're
not going to be like that high up on like if you're going to go by like points or your cups and stuff like that, like the old school guys were. But
totally, I will say honorable mention. Gotta go. Just to name one guy who is still currently in the league that's probably not going to get picked by either of us, but Brent Burns. I didn't realize how high up he is in like every major category. For like he's up there with like Orr and Chelios and some of those guys in the points conversation and all that. So very cool. My next pick, I'm probably going to go with Paul Coffey.
That's a great one. I had him on my list as well. I mean, 4 cups, guy I think was pretty close to 400 goals. So, I had, I think, like 3 or 4 sticks of his with his curve on them that I really, really liked those when I was younger. And I mean, talk about a guy that just played with nothing but greatness throughout his career between those Oilers teams and the Penguins teams, and then eventually the Red Wings too. Like, it's unbelievable.
He's also like the only one who's even close to Bourque in like goals, assists, points, all that stuff.
Yeah. Next pick for me, I'm going to have to go with Nicklas Lidstrom. I just absolutely love this guy's game. 264 goals, 1,142 points, and 4 Stanley Cups. So
he's also
just talk
someone
about like
that we got to watch growing up a little bit.
Yes.
So that hits home for us a little more.
Definitely.
Now it starts to get a little tricky. I'm going to kind of go further down the list a little bit, not going the chalk pick of like who's next in points and all that, but I want a guy like Scott Stevens on my blue line.
Oh, that's a good one.
Former Caps legend too, might add.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That does count.
Yep.
But, yeah, I mean, he's unbelievable. All those Devils teams, I feel like every single defenseman they had could like also move the puck really well. There's another guy that might get picked here in a little bit, also named Scott, that wore a Devils uniform. But yeah, he's one of the best to ever do it. That's for sure. And just, I think he's probably glad that like George Peros wasn't running DOPS back then, because I think it would have been a little bit different for Scotty Stevens.
100%.
My third pick, this is tough. I'm like looking over my list now. Give me Al McInnes. How about that? 340 goals, 1,274 points, and 1 Stanley Cup with the Flames back in, I think it was 89. So, one of the hardest shots of all time too. Al McInnes, don't ever forget that. And that was when those guys were using like 2-piece and wood sticks. So
that's right.
Yeah, I have to go with him. Couldn't leave him off.
Yeah, that's a good pick. Do I have 2 more? Or I've got 1 more, right?
This is it. Yeah, you're down to your last one. And then we'll give you an honorable mention because we can never decide.
This is so hard. I might go... Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go Chelios.
That's a great pick.
I know that's a little further down the list too, maybe for some guys, and we're skipping out on some of the all-time greats. But again, I gotta pick a guy that I at least got to watch growing up a little bit. It means something more to me. So sorry for all the older listeners for skipping over some of the real greats that are born further before my time.
Yeah, this is tough. There's so many guys I feel like at this point you could go with. I think there's probably some people screaming for a current defenseman to be picked in this list, but I don't know if we're there just quite yet.
Yeah.
So, last pick for me, I got to go with Scott Niedermayer. Only 172 goals only in the NHL, but 740 career points, 4 Stanley Cups. The guy's just a huge machine. He's unbelievable. I mean, we've all heard the stories about him coming off the ice with like one drop of sweat on his shirt and just seems like the nicest guy. He's so consistent. He's so smooth as a defenseman. And I mean, the Ducks the Ducks and the Devils don't win those cups without him. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Who's your honorable mention?
Honorable mention, this one will probably piss people off too, just because I still haven't said Larry Murphy or Dennis Potvin or any of those guys, but I'm going to go with Sergei Gonchar.
That's a great one.
That guy was so instrumental for me falling in love with hockey growing up, just, as a Capital and just the way he played the game. I loved Gonch, so I'm throwing him in there as the HM.
That's a good one. I think my honorable mention is going to have to be Potvin just because of how good those Islander teams were. I mean, 4 cups, you really can't go wrong with that. And I think we might get, stabbed if we don't throw him in there. So
very true.
I think part of the New York fan base that listens to this show would be unhappy about that. But I think another guy that is worth mentioning on this list is, do you know who's 25th all-time in points by an NHL defenseman?
25th all-time. Currently in the league, I'm guessing, if you're bringing it up.
Yeah. Someone we definitely grew up playing. We're still watching.
I was
him play
looking
now.
at the list earlier today. I'm pretty sure that's where Carlson's at, isn't it?
It's Johnny Rocket.
Dude, that's actually pretty insane if you think about it. Right?
I was surprised by that.
Crazy. Yeah.
But no, shout out John Carlson. Should have won the Norris in 1819. If you know, you know.
Yep.
So Quinn Hughes, back to, your regular scheduled programming here. Good Mount Rushmore, though. So Quinn Hughes trade was obviously huge, but that wasn't the only trade since we last spoke.
Probably not even the biggest trade of the day.
No, not at all. So we had the Skinner-Jari trade. So Stuart
bigger.
Skinner is now a Pittsburgh Penguin. Tristan Jarry is now an Edmonton Oiler. Pittsburgh also gets Brett Kulak and a second. Edmonton also gets Samuel Poulin. So your thoughts on this trade? I have many things to say about this.
Fork traded for Spoon.
Spot on. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't really move the needle for either team that much, in my opinion. I don't think it solves a problem. I don't think it solves the problem for Edmonton the way they're hoping it does. It also, now they're just stuck with that Jari contract, which isn't a great one. I guess you could say the Penguins won the trade just because Skinner's gone after this year, so they can just wipe their hands clean of their goalie situation and start fresh, and they've already got some prospects looking pretty good there. So I think that's how they're looking at it. They're like, fine, whatever, we're just going to get out from underneath this Jari contract, and you guys can have him. Fine, we'll take Skinner for half a season, whatever, that's fine. But I don't think they're intending on having him be there long term or anything like that.
My thing with this is like, okay, Skinner to Pittsburgh, that's one thing. Like you said, it's a year. He's probably going to walk. Worst case scenario, and I've already seen speculation about this, they could just flip him again at the deadline if they really need to.
Yeah, totally possible. They've got enough goaltending prospects to be fine.
Definitely. Or just take one of the 9 that Carolina has for some reason. But going back to the Oilers here, why would you give up things for Jari when you could have had him 2 separate times when he got put on waivers, both of those times? You could have had him for free.
That is actually hilarious to think about.
So it seems like a lot to give up. They gave up a defenseman and a second-round pick in 29, but they could have just gotten the guy for free. So, I know that's a little bit hindsight being 2020, but is it?
Yeah, more like hindsight, like 2015 or what. I don't even know. I don't know which number comes first in the eyeglasses world, but it's not.
I know
2020.
2020's good. I don't know what's bad.
Yeah, exactly.
On
that's why
eye numbers.
Land that joke, but you guys get the point. It's not 2020 because this isn't really that good of a move, in my opinion.
Yeah, it kind of just seems like it reminds me very much of my landlord in college. Shout out Dennis Matthews. The guy was awesome. But he had all these properties in the Towson area, and these houses were basically held together with duct tape and, just rubber bands. And I mean, they're typical college houses.
Yeah.
And like, we all had like window AC units because these houses are like 100 years old. So like every year the window AC units would break. And you would call Dennis, and Dennis would just show up in his pickup truck with like 4 other also broken AC units in the back and just start swapping parts in and out. That's what this trade is to me. It's like you've got something that doesn't really work. I've got something that doesn't really work. Let's just pull pins and start seeing if something goes here.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. Wow.
Yeah, shout out Dennis. He was the man. One of my favorite things about Dennis.
Maybe he could play goalie for the Oilers.
He could. You know, he was still a spring chicken last time I saw him. Okay. One of my favorite stories about him, and then we'll move on, is the house I lived in, which if you're from the Towson area, was right behind Seasons Pizza. The basement was basically untouched since like the late 1800s. It was like the farmhouse back in the day. And so there was a ton of creepy shit down there, like really old Christmas decorations. I'm sure everything had lead-based paint or asbestos or whatever, but there were 2 pipes that didn't really fit together. So he held them together with a Deer Park water bottle and duct tape.
Wow.
Unreal. What a guy.
That's innovation right there. That's landlord innovation.
Absolutely. Speaking of a Deer Park water bottle and duct tape, let's talk about the Buffalo Sabres because they finally fired their GM, Kevyn Adams. So I think he was GM there for the last 5 years? I think he was the replacement for Botterill.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So they replaced him with Jarmo Kekalainen. I do think, Kevyn Adams did make some good moves recently. Like the Josh Doan trade is looking like that's a great move for him.
I agree.
But like he also did give away Sam Reinhart, basically.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is like, it's interesting.
Was he the Eichel trade or was that before?
Might have been him. I'm not sure.
Either way.
Yeah. It sort of comes at an interesting time. I mean, the Sabres are last in the Atlantic again. Do you think this is like a huge change in the right direction for them?
It could be. I mean, Jarmo Kekalainen was with CBJ for the last 10 years, so he's experienced. I think he made some good and bad moves in Columbus too. When you're there that long, you're almost certainly going to make a couple moves that work out and a couple that don't. But I don't think it's a bad hire. I think shaking things up in Buffalo is not going to make anything worse right now. Probably. I don't see how it could. So, yeah, I think this is mostly a good move. We'll see what happens. I don't think they're going to skyrocket into a playoff position anytime soon, but yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got his work cut out for him. I mean, obviously now your job is probably keep Tage Thompson happy and try and keep him there. Alex Tuck, Buffalo native, is an upcoming free agent, so that's going to be a big one for them. I feel like they're going to get a lot of calls at the deadline about a player like that. I think there's a lot of teams that would want to add that guy to their roster, so we'll have to see what he can do there. Something else I really wanted to talk about, and this was awesome, especially for us as Americans, but shout out to the U.S. women's national team. They swept Canada in the rivalry series, outscored them 24-7 across 4 games. They won all 4. They looked absolutely unbeatable. So I really hope that is the precursor to what we're going to get at the Olympics, because they were just, I think, it's some of the best hockey I've ever seen them play.
It's awesome to see, and that rivalry is so heated. Like, maybe you could argue it's even worse than the men's rivalry. Some of those ladies hate each other, so pretty fun to see that be the result.
And it definitely makes those, I bet it makes the PWHL locker room pretty interesting around Olympic time.
Yeah, I can't even imagine some of the beef that's going on. That's got to be just wild.
Absolutely. Let's move on to empty the mailbox. You guys sent in a bunch of fun stuff this week. First one I wanted to start with. So I don't know, Mac, if you have NHL 26. I've been playing NHL 26 a little bit here and there. We posted a meme about Chell last week, and everyone was sounding off in the comments about which one was the best ever and why they were all, somehow different than each other when they have all basically been the same since 2015. But if you were in charge of development for NHL 27 coming out next year, what changes would you make from the current franchise?
It's a good question. I want to hear your answer first. You've played the new one more than I have, but I have a couple ideas, but let me hear what you say first.
I thought game speed wise, it's better than 25. I feel like and maybe this was just my Xbox or something, I notice like performance issues with 25 every now and then. 26 ran a lot smoother, which is nice. First things first, I think you capitalize off the college football game and throw college hockey teams in there. I'm not saying you have to do all of them, but like at least get the like Frozen Four tournament as a playable mode. I think, you threw World Juniors in there. Now with NIL money, you can do this. So there's not like laws preventing it anymore. Throw the players in there. That's what we want to do. I think that would be fun. I think it would be cool to be able to be a pro and pick like, do I want to play in Europe like Austin Matthews? Do I want to go juniors? Do I want to go juniors and then college? Do I want to go college and then enter like a transfer portal or something like that? I think that would just be a new like fresh coat of paint, a new game mode you could add or an extension on Be a Pro, I think would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, those are great ideas. Only thing I would add is like, and this is actually hilarious because I mentioned earlier I've been playing NHL Hits, and like those games are ancient and more just fun for nostalgic purposes.
Yeah.
But there is one thing in those games that I think they nailed that I've never seen done in any NHL games since. But there's like a mode where you have to, like, you've got a team and you're playing like through like a circuit. You got to beat all these teams as that team, but you don't just have to win the game. You got to like accomplish like tasks during the game. So like they start easy, like, and sometimes the tasks are so easy you don't really have to worry about them. They'll just like happen throughout the course of the game. Like it's win 8 face-offs or something like that is one of them. And you're like, well, that's just going to happen. But then like as you get deeper into the circuit, like one of the last games you have to complete, you literally have to get a shutout in it. It's like stuff like that, or like one of them is like you got to win 2 fights, or you got to like make like 80 hits, or like make like 100 passes, like just stuff like that. It just adds kind of a fun little thing to be like, well, I got to win this game, but I also got to pay attention to all these little intricacies. I think something like that would be fun. I also think they just need to keep workshopping franchise mode. It's not perfect. It's probably never going to be perfect, but there's obvious things that could be done. Like, we don't need all the way they've like added all the like business stuff and the coaching stuff. Like no one's really here for that. I
don't want to do scouting.
No, we don't want to do scouting, and I think you can turn that off. But still, like they like add in the fun stuff that people want. Don't add in like I don't want to have to like make renovations to the parking lot,
right? Or like upgrade my concessions, or like redo the bathrooms. Like,
dude,
why am I playing Architect
People
Simulator?
Might think we're joking, but these are all things that they've added in. Where like they'll send you a notification in franchise mode and be like, "Hey, man, you got to upgrade the bathrooms in the parking lot this week." And it's like, I'm playing a hockey video game right now. Did you forget that? Because, oh, man. So
you're like, I'm doing this to run away from my problems, not take on the problems
Why do
of
I
an
have
NHL
bills
team.
in NHL?
No, exactly.
Like, what the fuck? So, make NHL franchise mode fun again. That
would be great. The other thing I've been screaming at this franchise to bring back, I think 15 was the last one to do this, but like those real world scenarios, like 15 had the one where it's like you're the Bruins, Game 7 against the Leafs, you're down 4-1 with like 5 minutes to go. You got to claw your way back into it. Like start doing that again. Like do what was it, 2019 Sharks Knights, like you're down 4 goals and then they give you the 5-minute major and you have to score as many as you can to try and tie the game or something like that.
Yeah, they the MLB games have done a great job at this. They have a mode where it's like key moments or something like that.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
You pick a team, you start the season, and like it'll throw you into all these scenarios, and how you perform in each one is going to like drastically change the course of your season and stuff. Like
nice.
They might literally be like if you were the Capitals or something, they would throw you in a moment and be like, hey, Bogdan Chernaev just got called up for his first NHL game. Like, you're going to have to take like 10 shifts as him in this game. And like how you play will like decide if he's going to like keep playing or if he's going to go back down, like stuff like that. And then like that changes how like the rest of the season goes too. So I would love to see something like that be brought back.
That would be super cool. I love the sound of something like that. I think that's absolutely something they could do. I don't know why they haven't done it. And another thing, not to keep this going, but Winter Classic and outdoor game mode.
Dude, they had that, and it was one of the sickest things ever. And now it hasn't been back in quite some time. I don't know what. That is such a miss. Like the game used to open up with the Winter Classic. I forget which one. It was like NHL 12 or something like that. Opened with the Caps and Penguins Winter Classic.
It's crazy looking back at like 15 and 14, and like if you look at the in-game footage, like just like all right, you're two teams and you just start playing.
Yeah.
And then there's Edzo and Doc in front of you with like the fucking NBC broadcast there.
Yeah.
And now we've got like just weird animations and weird like X Factor things that like highlight before each game.
And why do we have to have the guy? Okay, last thing, I swear to God. Why, ever since they took like Doc and Gary Thorne and the real people out of the game, why do we have to have this like made up guy? I know he's like a real guy, but he's not. He doesn't call NHL games, so like why?
I do think it was. I agree. I think it was cooler when it was like actually someone, and I know that's like probably so many hours that Doc had to be in the booth doing that.
But they've got Ray. They've still got Ray in the game.
Yeah,
and
that's
he
a good
does
point.
Like the color commentating. It's just that the main guy is what's his name? Like John. He says the
James Cebulski.
James Cebulski. That's what it is. Yeah, it's like, dude, I don't know who you are. No one. He's not like, I've looked it up before. He is like a commentator of some sort, but he's not like an NHL commentator. They just like got him to do this for some reason, and I don't know.
The way like FIFA does it, or sorry, EAFC, whatever they're calling it now, is like they'll have like, I think it's like 3 different like broadcast team options. And so like you can either go in and say like, I just want this one, or just it's sort of like whoever's covering that game randomly, which I think would be kind of cool. Like, especially with like the ESPN TNT crew, maybe you could do like Bucci on one, you could do Kenny Albert on one or something like that. Like, I think it would be cool if it bounced around a little bit.
Again, it'd be a lot of work, but like worth it, and fans would love that shit.
Oh, absolutely. Also, like, couldn't you just AI it at this point? Like, I know some people are probably going to hate that, but like, cut their time in the booth in half.
Yeah, I mean, they probably could. I don't know if I want them to, because I feel like it would suck even more. But
that's a good point.
Honestly, if anyone from EA is listening, they're gonna throw everything in the trash that we just said, and then they're gonna hear the AI thing. Go, write that down. Write that down.
They're gonna be like, oh wait, less work we don't have to do.
Dude,
like,
yeah,
done. Speaking of done, Connor Bedard is out until at least early January with an upper body injury. Looks sort of like an upper arm shoulder kind of thing. How big of a blow is that to the Hawks' wild card hopes here?
It's bad, but I mean, I don't think that was gonna be that sustainable anyway. I've been waiting for that team to fall back down to earth. I think it was gonna happen regardless. It's tough for him because he's trying to make Team Canada.
Right.
He still might. So I'd say it's a bigger issue for like in terms of that than it is for the Hawks as a season.
I would agree. I think I agree with you that I was waiting for this team to come back down to earth. I think especially with just what we talked about earlier in the episode with how top heavy that division is. And then I would sort of look maybe at a couple Pacific teams getting that wild card spot over the Hawks in the Central.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Let's go to another team that's pretty interesting right now, which is crazy for us to say, but are the Islanders a fun hockey team?
Listen, they're definitely more fun than they have been in a long time, but it's kind of like if I was sitting on the ground, like watching like dust bunnies blow around in front of a fan or in front of a vent, and then you were like, okay, we're going to give you like a rubber band and a couple paper clips. And it's like, oh shit. Well, okay. That's way
now
better.
It's a party.
That's way better than just watching the dust bunnies. At least I have something to like fidget with, but it's still just a rubber band and a couple paper clips. So
that's true.
I'm mostly poking fun just to get a rise out of some of our listeners. You know who you are, but no, listen, Shafe Daddy has changed this team.
Yeah.
That is for sure. They look totally different. I think the team is having a lot more fun. That's for sure. So definitely one of the biggest surprises of this season is how good they've been and how different they look as a team.
It seems like it's just a little bit looser as a group. Like, it's looser. They're not playing this like hyper rigid style that we had seen them play in years past. It seems like Patty Waugh's kind of just like, hey, go out there and grip it and rip it. Don't be stupid, but go have fun. And I think that's been great for them. They've won 3 in a row. 6-3-1 in their last 10. So they are currently sitting the night we're recording this, which is Monday, December 15th. They are second in the Metro behind Carolina right now with 41 points.
Yep. Shocking to me, but here they are.
Right. Something else that we kind of saw was shocking, and then there it was Boston and Tampa releasing their Stadium Series jerseys. Last question from the mailbox is, what are your thoughts on those?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty vocal online all weekend about these, but just to really go on record, I think it could be like one of the worst jersey matchups we've had in a long time. The Tampa thing, they were close almost. Like they had some good ideas. I love some of the details. The like pirate logo's cool. Maybe lean into that. I don't hate the baby blue getting that involved as like a secondary color. TBL, that is the most dog shit logo I've ever seen. Like, that is so ass. Put that pirate thing that they made on the center. I know it's got jersey shoulder patch written all over it, but still, I would have rather see that than the fucking TBL on the front.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I could almost forgive it if TBL was the shoulder patch. Like, I could live with that a little bit. It's still dumb, but like, okay, for one game, fine, I'll give it to you. But it's not good, man. I mean, both of them I don't think are good. I hate the white gloves and like the white forearms on the Bruins thing.
Yeah,
but I know
that
that's
sucks
just me.
too. I didn't think that listen, I've seen a couple Tampa jerseys that I'm like, oh God, there will never be a worse Lightning jersey than this. They had the one that said Bolts.
That was brutal.
I mean, I know a lot of people like them, but I don't like the black ones that are like the hockey club thing or whatever.
Oh, that's awful.
I don't like that.
What are you, an MLS team?
Yeah, those are fucking weird. These are bad. These are really bad. Maybe they'll look fine on the ice, but it's the logo primarily for Tampa that's bothering me. For Boston, it's kind of the whole thing. The shade of yellow they used is such a weird, like, banana color. It's
a good way to put it.
It's just odd, and it's like such a like light yellow too. It's like I don't even know how to describe it.
Like a paler yellow almost?
Yeah, but like, well, it's bright, but it's light. It's just bizarre.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, I think we got to look at Tampa seriously and go, are you just bad at making sweaters? Because pretty much since that original one, which everyone loved and that you won a Stanley Cup in, basically, like, I know it was slightly different, but yeah, you really haven't had a good one since, and you're kind of just copying the Leafs now with the blue and white thing.
All downhill. They haven't had a good one forever.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. That wraps up Empty the Mailbox. Mac, before we move on, I think you have a word from our friends over at DraftKings, who are the proud sponsor of this episode.
Yes, I sure do. Every yard, every sack, every interception, and every touchdown. With Pick 6, DraftKings' newest game, every snap can turn into a big-time payout. This isn't just watching the game. This is playing to win. Here's how it works. Pick more or less on 2 or more player stats. The better your picks, the bigger your payout. It's that simple. And here's the kickoff bonus. New DraftKings customers get $50 in Pick 6 credits with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. You know the game, now make it pay. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN. Play just $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Make the call, ride the upside. In partnership with DraftKings Pick 6, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
So let's go ahead and do a weekly recap. So not the best week for the Caps since we last spoke, but a 3-2 shootout loss in that big game against Carolina, and then a 5-1 loss to Winnipeg, which I am very glad I missed. I did not watch a single second of that game, but I did see the highlights, and there weren't many of them for the Caps. But let's start with that Carolina game. I know you and I talked about that a lot last week, sort of previewing it. I thought parts of that game looked good for the Caps. Mikey gets a big goal there, and I was like, okay, they're up and firing. And then just prototypical, like, late third period, just garbage goal that they end up giving up. And I knew as soon as it went to a shootout, they were going to get screwed against Carolina.
Yeah, I didn't hate the way they played for most of this game. I think they mostly played the way that they needed to play in a big divisional game like that. Like, it wasn't like they just didn't show up or they weren't up to the task. I think they were ready and they played well. Brutal turnover in the dying minutes of the third period. Can't have that happen, like 2 feet over the offensive blue line, or blue line, sorry. Besides that, I mean, we've all been talking all year about how they're so bad at the shootout. And I know Carbs said at this point they're looking to shake things up. They've had Ocean there consulting, whatever that means. But I got a question. Is there a way that we can look at why we haven't been able to end any of these shootout losses in overtime? Because we're getting chances. Like, Stromer gets a breakaway in that overtime. Like, that's got to go in the net.
I don't know what the thought process was there, but like, just no killer instinct to put that puck in the net. Yeah,
and if you look at the Ducks game, there were countless chances to win that game in overtime too, and it just doesn't go in the net. Like, so I would almost rather them, like, I know Carb said we're looking at different guys for the shootout, practicing breakaways, blah, 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 blah. I'd rather them practice 3-on-3 more. Like, just come up with some, like, set plays and some new strategies for OT, some stuff you can try to really be ballsy, because fuck it. If you're going to lose once it gets to the shootout anyway, I'd rather just see you take some fucking risks in OT and try and, like, expose one of the guys, or, like, run a fucking, like, set decoy play where some guy, like, there's shit you can do 3-on-3 and 4-on-4 to really expose teams, especially when almost every team in the league plays 3-on-3 the exact same way.
That's true. It is a very sort of, copy paste style of 3-on-3 around the league. Yeah, I think that's a great point. I would definitely rather go down swinging in overtime than try and play for a shootout or be conservative just to get to the shootout or something. At that point, you've already got the 1 point, might as well roll the dice a little bit and go for 2.
Yeah, because you can practice breakaways all you want, but every goalie is different than the goalies that you have on your team that you're
100%.
facing. And by that same side of the coin, your goalies practicing against your own players isn't helping them any. They still have to face all these guys that have their own weird can opener or signature moves that every guy who's good at the shootout in the league has a different fucking thing that he does. So it's more about, like, goalies knowing the scouting report than it is about them, like, practicing breakaways or whatever. So I'd much rather see them try and really lean into, like, that killer instinct in OT. There are things you can do to be like, fuck it, if it gets to 3-on-3, we're not going to be the team that sits back. We're going to go balls to the wall, and if we win the face-off, we got this dump play that we're going to do, like something like that, So that's my thought on that.
No, I like it. I totally agree. I think it would be great if they could get a little bit better about possession in 3-on-3 and not, just getting it, but retaining it.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the times when they don't control the pace in 3-on-3, you can almost just start that timer for, hey, there's going to be a goal going in here in about 45 seconds. But, definitely looking for a little bit more of that killer instinct. If you're going to shoot in 3-on-3, it's pretty important that you do hit the net, because if it goes high, if it goes into the corner, then
free breakout for the other team.
Jailbreak the other way.
Usually an odd man rush.
Yeah, if you're going to be shooting from the point, and you're going to, wind up for that thing, make sure it hits either the goalie or the 4x6, because if it goes behind and just, if it gets the bottom of the boards and bounces like crazy, it's just a free pass the other way. Up next for the Caps, they have Mini today, the night you guys are listening to this, so that'll be a big one. I am almost guaranteeing that Quinn Hughes scores again in that game, because that loves to just happen against the Washington Capitals.
Yep.
Toronto, they're home against them on Thursday, and then they have a home-and-home with Detroit over the weekend, which is going to be the first time the Caps have seen the Wings all year. They currently sit second in the Atlantic, and Larkin, DeBrincat, and Raymond are all point-per-game or better players right now.
Yeah, I mean, we said it last week. This is a very good test for the Caps these next couple of weeks, and excited to be there in person for two of them, the Detroit game and the Rangers game this weekend and next week. So we'll see a little bit more what they're made of, and they're still dealing with some injuries and stuff too. So it'll be fun to see how they shake out the lineup a little bit. We'll see.
It would be so awesome if the Caps got both of that home and home. That would be, I think, such a huge boost for the team, especially going into the Christmas break here.
100%.
Want to move over to college real quick before we wrap up. Shout out Northeastern. They played their final game at Matthews Arena. Final game there, 115-year-old barn. It's the oldest, I think, hockey venue in North America right now that's still in use. So that was awesome to see. Husky legend and former Caps GM Dave Poyle actually did the ceremonial face-off. So I think he still has like a ton of Husky scoring records. I think it's hat tricks that he still has. Don't quote me on that, but awesome to see. That's always a fun program to watch, especially being one of the, I don't want to call them one of the smaller Massachusetts area schools, but, compared to the BC, BU, always like rooting for those guys in the Beanpot for sure.
Yeah, I gotta dial a little more into college, but usually around Christmas I end up catching some games, so excited to watch. It's been a wild season. From all reports, it seems like there's been a new favorite like every week of like, actually this is the team you got to be afraid of. Wait, no, maybe it's these guys.
There's a lot of them. I mean, there's a bunch. I mean, I don't think anyone can count out Western with how good they were last year. I don't think you can ever count out a Bob Motzko coached Minnesota. All they have to do is get to that tournament in March, and they're going to be legit. So North Dakota making a lot of noise. Keaton Verhoff, that's the guy that I think a lot of people are starting to say is, hey, maybe this guy might be more worth it than a Gavin McKenna in the draft, which I think is some pretty high praise. So, definitely keep the Fighting Hawks, as we have to call them now, on your radar.
That's right. All right, you want a real quick trivia? This one's kind of silly, but it just something I thought of a few minutes ago.
Yeah, hit me.
All right, finish that lyric.
Okay.
Tension grows, the whistle blows, and the puck goes down the ice. The goalie jumps, and the players bump, and the fans all go insane.
Someone roars, Bobby scores at the good old hockey game.
That's right. I had to get that one in because I chose Bobby Orr as my number one draft pick in the Mount Rushmore earlier. Bobby scores.
Legend. Stomping Tom Connors.
That song needs to be played more at every NHL game in the league. I only ever hear it at Caps games, I feel like. And even now, I don't normally always hear it at Caps games.
I was going to say that used to be like it was
growing up, I heard it every game.
It was almost like sort of like a seventh inning stretch sort of vibe where instead of Take Me Out to the Ball Game, they would play that at some point in like the first or second period. But I feel like I don't hear it a lot anymore, but you're right. Like that was a once a game kind of thing.
Love that song.
Yeah, that, I totally agree. That should be mandatory.
The kids these days, they need to know. They need to know about Stomping Tom Connors.
They do need to know. Streets know. That's what's important. Yeah.
The unks know.
Snow. Oh God. Yeah, that's so true, isn't it? Anything else before we wrap up here?
Nope. I'll be at Caps Wings and Caps Rangers and Ravens Patriots. So come say hi.
Yeah, absolutely. I will also be there for Caps Rangers. Guys, make sure you're liked, subscribed, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, CDE, all of the above. We will probably be taking the week off next week just with the holiday and everything. Max got some travel lined up, but we will get back to you guys the following week and catch you in the next episode.